Hi students, this is Mr. Lesage and this is a help video for the lesson Multiplication and Division of Equations, and that lesson is found in the first semester of the Math 6 course, Math 6A. This has caused some students some difficulty, and I wanted to show you one of the problems that I know some of you may have had difficulty with. And what this amounts to is we have some fractions in our equation, and many times along with those fractions we have negative signs on some of our numbers. And I want to make sure that you all know how to deal with these kind of equations. So here's one that's very typical. We have 5/12 is equal to negative x over 420. When we look at these kind of problems, our aim is always to isolate the variable, or in other words, to get the variable all by itself. When we have managed to do that, then we will have on the other side of the equal sign the value for that variable. And in this case, we'll be able to solve for x. When we say isolate the variable, we mean to get rid of all the other numbers, signs, everything else that's with the variable. And in this case, we have two things we need to get rid of. We have the 420 that's right there. That needs to go away. But also, we have this negative sign that's going to need to go away. Now, we can do that in two steps, or we can do all of that in one step. And one step is always better than two. So what we would do, since the 420 is in the denominator of this fraction, we would typically multiply that number like this. We would put the 420 in the numerator, or in other words, we would use the inverse of 1 over 420 to get rid of it. Now, in order to get rid of the negative, we're going to put a negative in front of that fraction, and we're going to multiply here. So when we multiply the negative times negative, we'll get positive. Now, we also know in solving equations, whatever we do to one side of the equation, we must do to the other side to keep it balanced. So we're going to put a negative 420 over 1 over here, and we're going to multiply those together. Now, when we multiply the left side together, negative times positive will give us a negative answer, and 5 times 420 will be 2, sorry about that, will be 2,100 over 12. And that's going to be equal to, remember over here we had negative times negative, which gave us positive. The 420 in the numerator and in the denominator gives us a fraction that's 420 over 420. That reduces down to 1. So we are left here with just an x, and it is positive because we multiplied negative numbers together, negative values. So now we would only have to divide the 12 into the negative 2100 to find out what the value for x is. If we want to reduce it, we could leave it as just this big old fraction. When we divide it in there, we can come down to the bottom here. Let me see if I can find my pen and get it to come all the way down here. 12 into 2100 goes once, of course. There is, 2100, sorry. So that's a 9 for remainder. Bring down the 0. That's going to go 7 times, which is 84. When we subtract that, it'll be 6. Bring down the 0. So 175 would be the correct answer there. So 175, and that's a negative number again, is equal to x. So Remember the key here, we're going to multiply by the number in the denominator to get rid of the 420, and we're also going to have to get rid of the negative sign. Hope that helps you figure out these questions for multiplication and division equations.